What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Sgt Mooby here, and today I'm bringing you something a little bit different. Today I am bringing you the My Top 10 hashtag, something that me and the TubeLoaders have been talking about starting, and I thought, you know what, why not? I saw Anna's Games video on her top 10 favourite games, which I will link, like, there. Go watch it, awesome video. And it inspired me to do something very, very similar. So similar, in fact, it is my top 10 all-time favourite games. I've played a lot of games over my years on this earth. I've played a lot of games. Some of them good, some of them bad. But these are the top 10 that stood out to me most all throughout my life. So we're going to go ahead and start with number 10, Inside. Now the thing about Inside and why it really makes such an amazing game is because like it all pulls together of the mystery of the world that you're in, the imagery. It's very dark. It's very it's very ominous. You don't know what's going to happen, and I think as you progress through the game and you find more and more out about the world that you're inhabiting. When you inhabit this small boy, it's very Limbo-esque, where you don't quite know what's going on, but you know something's not really all that right. But as you progress through the game, you come against these people that just want to kill you for no apparent reason. They see you and then they want to shoot you. Nothing's really ever explained to you, and that I think is what makes it so awesome, is that you have to work out the story for yourself, or you can speculate and go, this is going to happen in the next bit. Overall, the whole overarching story of a young boy trapped in a very hostile world coming together with this homogeneous blob at the end of it and then rolling down a hill, and it's almost like the escapism that we as humans seek to find in our everyday lives. You know, we're in a very scary world, especially now we're in an incredibly scary world. So as we move through the world and we come across things and scenarios that, you know, really shit us up as, in essence, as human beings. They properly shit us up. I think that's why Inside really makes such an amazing game, because you kind of feel like you are the boy moving through this destitute, desolate world that really just wants to hurt you. Moving on to 9th place, we are going a little bit off kilter with this one. We're going to go with Viscera Cleanup Detail. It's a very underrated game. Let me just say that right now, very underrated. I found out about it when Yahtzee did a Let's Drown Out with Gabe. Basically, they play games for an hour, shoot the shit, and just basically answer questions. One of the games for a particular week was Viscera Cleanup Detail. Afterwards, I thought, you know what, why not? Might as well check it out. But as you can see on screen, it's basically like a janitor simulator. So you go around after all these FPS, like say Doom guy has been holding a murder party in a level. Your job to go around, clean everything up, and put everything back the way it was before the next Doom guy comes up and holds another murder party. So really, it's kind of like putting you on the other side of the playing field when it comes to FPSs. We've all played those FPSs where you're just running around shooting things, not really caring about the consequences. On the other side, you are that guy. You're the guy that has to clean everything up, you're the one that has to dispose of all the bodies, get rid of all the shell casings, like mop up all the soot and ash and all the explosives, and like even buff bullet holes out of walls. It's like so extensive in it's a janitorial simulator, but it's one that you can really get behind, and they did a couple of spin-offs as well. So there was Viscera Cleanup Detail Shadow Warrior, where you went around this basically it was a gangster hideout after a triad shootout, which honestly awesome, money all over the place, shurikens, MP7s, you know, you name it, it's pretty much there. But you've got to clean it all up, make everything look pristine, for the next triad shooter. And there was another one that they did, Santa's Revenge. So basically Santa's gone a little bit doolally, and he's killed all his elves, he's killed all the reindeer, he's put dynamite in all the toys, and he's hung people from the ceiling, like elves from the ceiling. It's so messed up, and the imagery itself is like, wow, Santa really fucking flipped a screw loose on this one. But honestly, it's a really good game. If it comes up in a Steam sale, it's definitely worth it. Full price at the moment is a little bit expensive, especially for what it is. But honestly, if it's in a Steam sale, go check it out. I don't think you'll be just disappointed. Moving on to number 8. Now, number 8 is a game that I've had a lot of experience with. And when I say a lot, I mean like hundreds of hours worth of experience with. I am, of course, talking about Skyrim. Skyrim was really, when I first started YouTube, the tried and true staple on my channel. Every time I went on, did another episode of Clearing Skyrim, I'd just be blown away by like the landscapes and the world that Bethesda had actually built for us to run around and either mess everything up as we went along, or try and help the world out in as many ways as possible. Obviously on screen at the moment you're seeing some Skyrim gameplay. This is actually the original footage I captured when I played Skyrim to begin with. Obviously I've cut out all my voiceover from back then, but like Skyrim's definitely still holds up today as one of the best games that I have ever played, and that is why it's not ranked higher on the list, because there's certain games that just slightly edge it out. But I think definitely Skyrim is definitely up there, and with the release of the definitive edition or the enhanced edition, whatever you want to call it, I think it's definitely going to give it a new lease. I think it's definitely going to give it a new lease on life. Moving on to number 7 now, and we're going way back to my childhood, back in the 90s when Nirvana was still a thing, and you didn't get weird looks for wearing plaid jackets. Half-Life. Half-Life was the first-person shooter I think I ever played. It's a toss-up between Soldier of Fortune and Half-Life. Soldier of Fortune, obviously an 18+, obviously a very, very, very violent game, but it was so fun. It's not on this list because it didn't really hold up for me personally. I went back and played it recently, and it didn't particularly hold up. But Half-Life is definitely one of those games that, like, the emergent storytelling, the world that you're surrounded in, like Gordon Freeman being this just regular guy that gets thrust into this world, and all because it's some overarching story about the G-Man and Black Mesa and something to do with the army and everything else that comes out of like Zen and like going off to alien worlds and basically just trying to work out what the fuck is going on. But you never can. You never work out what is actually going in Half-Life, which is why I've also included in this one, I've also included Half-Life 2. Because you get a little bit more of the story, you get a little bit more of the overarching things that happened in between the end of Half-Life 1 and the beginning of Half-Life 2, like with Professor Breen selling out the humans to the Combine, and like you get all the Combine police officers roaming around the streets in City 17. At least I think that's what it's called. It's been a while since I played Half-Life 2. City 17, just in general, is like this destitute, almost dystopian. It's a very dystopian city that you're thrust into. And when you go to Ravenholm, like just everything about Half-Life 1 and 2 just really stands out for me in my mind as two of the greatest games that I've ever played. But because they share the first 2 words, they are going to get lumped in together. Coming in at number 6 is a game that I feel so strongly about. Basically, if you think about Tim Burton and the imagery that he portrays in his animations and his films, it's almost like Tim Burton made a game. I am, of course, talking about Don't Starve. Again, you're thrust into this world, you don't know what the fuck's going on, you don't know why you were put in this place. And it's up to you to go through the 5 worlds. It's hard enough to get through the first world, let alone the other 4. Which, by the way, also sets you off. The second world, by the way, starts you off in winter, which is basically the game on extreme mode. Extreme go fuck yourself mode is basically winter. It's not impossible to survive and make it on back to spring, but it is pretty damn difficult. But yeah, again, Don't Starve. I've played it so many times, I've put so many hours into it. The mods in it are amazing. I managed to get a Link mod for, obviously, Link from the Legend of Zelda series, and, you know, running around this insane world as Link and using some of the tricks that Link has up his sleeve are just, honestly, some standout moments. And there's also Don't Starve Together, so you can actually jump into this world with your friends and try and beat this almost unrelenting world that is always trying to kill you, or in this case, trying to starve you. Moving on to number 5. Number 5 I had a bit of difficulty choosing, because obviously, like I said at the beginning, I've played so many games over the years that it's hard to discern which ones deserve to be on this list. So I settled on Mafia II. I've been playing Mafia 3 recently. That's one of the games that I play for fun. When I'm not recording for other things, I'm playing Mafia 3. Also playing some Rocket League, but that's neither here nor there. But going back to Mafia 2, I never played Mafia 1. But Mafia 2 definitely got me involved and invested in the open world scene. Obviously I played like GTA Vice City, GTA 3, GTA San Andreas. Really, those are the only open world games that I can think of that I played previously to Mafia 2. I jumped on the bandwagon a little bit late, so all the stuff that had already come out for Mafia 2 had already come out. So I was going to this completely fresh, hadn't seen anything on it before, but the world of Empire Bay, like, you know, the very nuclear families, or like Vito coming out of Italy in World War II, being thrust back into Empire Bay and having nothing to show for what he did overseas. You know, going back to helping out his mum, going back to his old hangouts, and just kind of seeing how the world is changing around him while he's been out fighting Nazis. But as he rises up through the ranks of the mafia and gets, you know, he gets made, he starts pissing off the what is it? Is it the Syndicate? It's something very much like the Syndicate, or maybe the Board. Whatever it is, he starts pissing them off. They start coming after him. Joe starts pissing everyone off as well. Joe was never a made man. I don't think so anyway. But, because Joe and Vito are all very, very, very tight. It's basically almost a rags to riches story where he comes out of World War II with nothing to his name and builds up to this massive criminal empire that he can kind of call his own and go, look, I made this, fuck you guys. Really, that just kind of spoke to me because I was poor at the time. Coming in at number 4 is a game, probably my very first game after A Link to the Past, which I've mentioned in previous videos. This is my very first game that I ever owned myself. Didn't buy it with my own money or anything like that. I was giving it as a Christmas present. I was actually given a Game Boy, original Game Boy, like the big grey brick, and Pokemon Blue. If you couldn't tell, by the way, Pokemon Blue is number 4 on my list. Just when I got the game when I was like 8. So having this world open to me of mystery and exploration and friendship and Pokemon and just leveling up to be the best you could be. And I was also watching the anime series that coincided with Pokemon Blue. Obviously Pokemon Yellow followed the themes and the storyline of the original anime, but I didn't know about Pokemon Yellow just yet. But yeah, just being thrown into this world and just basically going, have fun, explore. You're not going to get hurt. If you do, you're just going to come back at a Pokemon Center. You know, you might lose a bit of change, but at the end of the day, you're going to have fun. You're going to go, you're going to beat people, you're going to destroy Team Rocket, you're going to do all this stuff, and eventually you're going to become the Pokemon Master, and you're going to get a diploma from Professor Oak if you were lucky enough to catch all 151 Pokemon. But yeah, just Pokemon Blue and the Pokemon series in general really stands out to me as one of the best series and one of the best games that I've ever played. Hence why it's number 4 on this list. Number 3 is a game that I've been playing pretty recently. You've obviously probably seen it on my channel, and that is Hotline Miami. When I first heard about Hotline Miami, I thought, yeah, it's not for me. It's kind of top-down, it's rudimentary graphics. Nothing is about this really interests me. And then I picked it up, and my entire world was flipped up. Like, my entire perspective of the game was flipped upside down, because it's not just this very 80s droney synth murder simulator. It's actually a puzzle murder simulator. I love puzzles. I love, like, the original Monkey Islands. I would play them for fucking hours. I even hacked my Wii just so I could play the new Monkey Islands without having to pay for them. Because on the Wii they were like 1,000 points each, or 800 points, but you could never buy 800 points, you had to buy 1,000, which was like a tenner. And at that time I just didn't have the money, but I did have resources. I had the resource of the internet and a working internet connection, and YouTube. YouTube helped so much when I was hacking my Wii U, not my Wii U, just my regular Wii. But yeah, Hotline Miami, getting way off topic. Hotline Miami is one of those standout games that I even think about it after I've completed it. I haven't completed it on the channel. I actually just went ahead and did the last couple of missions just to see what I was up against. And honestly, the ending is gonna blow your freaking minds. It blew mine. Not going to tell you what happens. You can watch the video yourself and you can find that out. But yeah, it's definitely one of my all-time favourite games, just because it actually engages my brain and it lets me murder people carte blanche, and I have unlimited respawns. So there's that. Moving on to number 2. Number 2, it wasn't a difficult pick at all, because I've sunk so many hours into this game. I got so invested in the story, the characters, the overarching arc, if you will, of the entire world. I am, of course, talking about Red Dead Redemption. The Wild West simulator that is soon getting a sequel. I am so excited for Red Dead 2. As soon as it came out on all the social medias, like the trailer, I jumped all over it. I was showing people at work, like, look at this is going to be awesome. Even if it was like an 8-second trailer, it still got me stoked for what could potentially be Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, John Marston is one of my all-time favourite characters from any video game that I have ever played. Like, his roughness, his bluntness, his general fuck you attitude. If you get in his way, he will most likely shoot you in the face. But he's also got this caring father side that he wants to help his son, progress and do well. This doting husband who refuses to, you know, sleep with prostitutes or get in any kind of relationship, like we saw with Bonnie. Like, Bonnie was basically throwing herself at his feet, and he was like, "Nah, I'm good. I am all hunky dory." But Red Dead has always stood out for me as one of those epic games that I'm like I said, I'm very, very, very much looking forward to playing the sequel. Not sure if we're going to play as Jack or as a younger John yet. To be honest, I didn't mind playing as Jack. I thought it was very cool that we get to continue on the Marston family name, and maybe Jack is going to have a couple of run-ins with the law himself. Maybe he's, you know, we already saw him get his revenge on the guy that eventually set up John. So maybe we play as Jack, and maybe we see some of his adventures. I honestly don't mind. I think that would be really, really cool to see. Moving on to number one. Number one has to be... It's a bit of an outsider, because I was recently speaking to the tube loaders, specifically Super Antlers, and I said this game was one of my all-time favourite games. I'm, of course, talking about Majora's Mask. There's no point hiding it, you can see it on the screen. I was talking about Majora's Mask, and I said, yeah, this is actually one of my all-time favourite games, if not my most favourite game ever. He was like, really? Compared to Ocarina of Time? I was like, yes, compared to Ocarina of Time, because OOT is one of those games that I started as a child, but finished as an adult. He was a bit confused by this, and I don't blame him, because why would you start something as a child and finish as an adult? Well, it's like, well, I didn't have the skills and the hand-eye coordination as a child that I did when I was an adult and actually completed Majora's Mask. Not Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time. But it does get an honourable mention because I do love Ocarina of Time. It was my first kind of experience with Nintendo's open world, good versus evil simulators. And don't get me wrong, Ocarina of Time is amazing, and it definitely holds up today. I've been playing it recently. But Majora's Mask is one of those games that not everyone likes. But I think the reason that not everyone likes it is because they don't really understand it. Understand how to use the time, or how to use, you know, all the masks and get through the different temples in a respectable amount of time, or complete all the tasks that you had to do, because there were a ton of side quests. There were a metric shit ton of side quests in Majora's Mask that most people didn't even touch because they just wanted to get through the main game and go on to the next thing. But if you actually explore the world of Temeria and have a look around, you'll notice there's so much more going on than just a moon crashing down on someone's head. For instance, if you go to Lon Lon Ranch if you manage to get to Lon Lon Ranch on the first day, you can speak to Talon, and you know, you can interact with Talon and all that good stuff. But on the third day, if you haven't managed to successfully hold up the moon, or do basically the main quest, she gives her sister some of the Lon Lon milk, which basically is alcohol in this messed up world. So she's like zoned out, completely messed up and conked out by the time that the moon actually falls on them. So it's all about the individual people's lives that are in Majora's Mask, and for me that's what it just makes one hell of a game, and I've enjoyed every moment that I've ever played of it. But that is going to bring this list to a firm conclusion. Before I go, I want to tag a couple of people. Hopefully they will make similar videos, and we can all kind of get to know each other a little bit more in regards to what we play for fun, what we've grown up playing, and all that good stuff. So I'm going to tag Zenerith. You're up, buddy. Druidic Giblets. And who else shall I pick? Catatonic. You're in on this as well. So that's 3 people. Zen, Druidic Giblets, and Catatonic. You guys have to make this top 10 video, and I shall see how you do. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, this is Sgt Mooby, signing off.